Hey, shalom, shalom. As y'all come in, let me know if my audio is sounding clear. We're going to get started without much delay today. I know y'all got things to do this Sunday. I want to make sure we get a chance to get this word in before we get to moving. Judah Son 1446. Shalom, shalom. Good to have you. It is good to have you in the building. We are going to be starting in Joshua 9 today. Let me double check real quick. I believe we're starting off in Joshua chapter 9. So let's get our swords open up to the right destination so you can read along with the class. I hope everybody's Sunday is going good so far. I know mine is. Thank the Most High. Elder Salah, shalom. Yakanan, shalom, shalom. Excellent, excellent. I'm happy to see y'all popping in. Get the link shared. Tag the family. Let them know we getting started, man. Let them know the bus is leaving. Yeah, we doing Joshua chapter 9. I just confirmed it. We moving along pretty quick in this thing. Tezapanya, shalom, shalom. Good to see you as usual, brother. Punctual as usual. Hey, look, well, this class is for those of you that's here. And then, of course, our brothers and sisters will be able to catch the replays later on. So, that's just going to have to be what it is. First, we're going to give all praises, all honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son. We know Him as Yahweh Shai. We know Him as Christ. We know Him as Yeshua. We know Him as Jesus. For the sake of the class, we're going to call Him Hamashiach, the anointed of the Most High. The Savior of Israel, chosen by the Most High. His Father, our Father. This is Joshua chapter 9, starting at verse 1. Let me make sure the screen is shared. Lonnie in the building. Shalom to that brother. All praises. So Tommy Pickens in the building. Shalom to that sister, aka wifey poo. What's up? Little fine self. She next to me in the comments talking about some shalom. Being a sister to y'all, man. This is Joshua chapter 9, verse 1. And it came to pass when all the kings were on this side Jordan, in the hills and in the valleys, and in all the coasts of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Perizzite, the Hivite and the Jebusite heard thereof. So, we're at the point where we have started to enter into the land. And as we started this set of lessons on the book of Joshua, the overhanging shadow is the reluctant obedience of the Israelites and the blatant disobedience of the Israelites. If you were here for the first part of our study in Joshua, we saw how easy it could have been for the Israelites to have been at this point, probably been ran through some armies. But instead, they were forced to take the long way around because they didn't obey the Most High. We had other perils present themselves before the Israelites because some of the Israelites didn't do what the Most High said, caused us to be beaten by the men of Ai before our eventual victory over them because they kept some idolatrous memorabilia in the camp. So now that leaves us here. We've beaten the men of Ai. We've overcome those turmoils. We found ourselves setting foot into the land of Canaan after a victory over Jericho. And so now here we stand, verse 2, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and all Israel. Now it's us against everybody, with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard that Joshua had done unto Jericho and to Ai, They did work wily, meaning that they were clever, wilily, like Wile E. Coyote. It says, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles, old and rent and bound up. So these guys know that the Israelites are coming up against them in particular, so they're pretending to be from another nation, and they're pretending that they came from a far journey so that they can basically sneak amongst the Israelites. It says, with worn out patched sandals on their feet and worn out clothes, and all their provisions were dry and crumbly. So they brought themselves some old food. It says, and they went to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and said to him and to the men of Israel, we have come from a distant country, so now make a covenant with us. But the men of Israel said to the Hivites, perhaps you live among us, then how can we make a covenant with you? They said to Joshua, we are your servants. And Joshua said to them, who are you, and where do you come from? They said to him, from a very distant country your servants have come, because of the men of the Lord your God. For we have heard a report of him and all that he did in Egypt. So the significance of this is this. They know that Israel's not rocking with them as they are. So they have to play this game. We might have touched on this a little bit last week. It says, when the Lord your God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give to thy sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall you deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. I'm going to end with that phrase there. The point is that the people of Canaan know that the Israelites are dealing with them in that manner, and so now it behooves them to fly under the radar and deceive the Israelites so that they can seek some peace amongst them, like the nations that are afar off can get. Maybe we'll touch on that at another time, but the Torah in Deuteronomy 20 tells us, when you come up against these nations that are far away from you, you can bid them peace, and if they choose to make war with you, then you put belt to ass, so to speak, and then they become tributaries unto you. So, these guys would rather have that happen to them than to be utterly wiped out like the Israelites are commanded to do to the people of the land of Canaan. So let's continue. It says, but the men of Israel said to the Hivites, perhaps you live amongst us. Then how can we make a covenant with you? You see, based on what we read in Deuteronomy 7. They said to Joshua, we are your servants. And Joshua said to them, who are you, and where do you come from? They said to him, from a very distant country your servants have come, making it lawful for the Israelites to deal with them. Because of the name of Yahweh your God, we have heard a report from him, and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon the king of Heshbon, and to Og the king of Bashan, who live in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all the inhabitants of our country said to us, take provisions in your hand for the journey, and go to meet them and say to them, we are your servants. Come now, make a covenant with us. Here is your bread, It was still warm when we took it from our houses as our food for the journey on the day that we set out to come to you, but now behold, it is dry and crumbly. These wineskins were new. We filled them, and behold, they have burst. And these garments and sandals of ours are worn out from the very long journey. So the men took some of their provisions, but did not ask counsel of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant with them to let them live. And the leaders of the congregation swore to them. So this is pretty bad. These people eventually become a thorn in our side. We want to do well. We want to move in peace. And sometimes we do things too hastily. We open our houses up to people that we shouldn't. It's good to lead with a mind of hospitality, right? There is a part in the law that says the Lord loves the stranger, and that we're supposed to love the stranger as well. But when you contrast with the fact that there are certain strangers that we are supposed to that are supposed to be treated with a prejudice, like that of the people of Canaan, that's a no-go. And what ends up happening to the Israelites is these nations become a thorn in their side. So, it's very important that we consult the law before we make certain moves. If we're not aware of what the law says about a certain matter before moving, the scriptures do tell us to seek wise counsel before we endeavor into anything. So this is a good cautionary tale, because although their intention is not to entertain Canaanites, that's what ends up happening. It says, at the end of 3 days after they had made a covenant with them, they heard that they were their neighbors and that they lived among them. And the people of Israel set out and reached their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Sephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the people of Israel did not attack them, because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. Then all the congregation murmured against the leaders. But all the leaders said to all the congregation, we have sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and now we may not touch them. This we will do to them. Let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath that we swore to them. And the leaders said to them, let them live. So they became cutters of wood and drawers of water for all the congregation, just as the leaders had said of them. Joshua summoned them, and he said to them, why did you deceive us, saying we are very far from you when you dwell among us? Now therefore you are cursed, and some of you shall never be anything but servants, cutters of wood and drawers of water for the house of my God. They answered Joshua, because it was told to your servants for a certainty that Yahweh, your God, had commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. So we feared greatly for our lives because of you, and did this thing. And now, behold, we are in your hand. Whatever seems good and right in your sight to do to us, do it. So we did this to them and delivered them out of the hand of the people of Israel, and they did not kill them. But Joshua made them that day cutters of wood and drawers of water for the congregation and for the altar of the Lord to this day, in the place that he should choose. So now they're temple servants, basically. I believe they're called Nethinims. This is chapter 10. As soon as Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard how Joshua had captured Ai and had devoted it to destruction, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king, and how the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were among them, he feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were warriors. So Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, sent to Hanun, king of Hebron, to Piram, king of Jarmuth, to Japhiah, king of Lachish, and to Debir, king of Eglon, saying, Come up to me and help me, and let us strike Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua and with the people of Israel. Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, and king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon gathered their forces and went up with all their armies and encamped against Gibeon and made war against it. And the men of Gibeon said to Joshua at the camp of Gilgal, saying, Do not relax your hand from your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the hill country are gathering against us. So Joshua went up from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said to Joshua, Do not fear them, for I have given them into your hands. Not a man of them shall stand before you. So Joshua came upon them suddenly, having marched up all night from Gilgal. And the Lord threw them into a panic before Israel, who struck them with a great blow. And Gibeon had chased them by the way of the ascent of Beth Horon, and struck them as far as Ascah and Makkedah. And as they fled before Israel, while they were going down the ascent of Beth Horon, the Lord threw down large stones from heaven on them, as far as Ascah, and they died. There were more who died because of the hailstones than the sons of Israel killed with the sword. At that time Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord gave the Amorites into the sons of Israel, over to the sons of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jasher? The sun stopped in the midst of heaven and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. There has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. So Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to the camp of Gilgal. These 5 kings fled and hid themselves in a cave at Makkedah. And it was told to Joshua, The 5 kings have been found, hidden in the cave at Makkedah. And Joshua said, Roll large stones against the mouth of the cave, and set men by it to guard them. But do not stay there yourselves. Pursue your enemies. Attack their rear guard. Do not let them enter their cities, for the Lord your God is giving them into your hand. When Joshua and the sons of Israel had finished striking them with a great blow until they were wiped out, and when the remnant that remained of them had entered into their fortified cities, then all the people returned safe to Joshua in the camp at Makkedah. Not a man moved his tongue against any of the people of Israel. Then Joshua said, Open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings out to me from the cave. And they did so, and brought those 5 kings out to him from the cave. And the king of Jerusalem, the king Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. And when they brought those kings out to Joshua, Joshua summoned all the men of Israel and said to the chiefs of the men of war who had gone with him, Come near, put your feet on the necks of these kings. Then they came near and put their feet on their necks. And Joshua said to them, Do not be afraid or dismayed. Be strong and courageous, for thus the Lord will do to all your enemies against whom you fight. And afterward Joshua struck them and put them to death, and he hanged them on 5 trees, and they hung on the trees until evening. But at the time of the going down of the sun, Joshua commanded, and they took them down from the trees, and threw them into the cave where they had hidden themselves, and they set large stones against the mouth of the cave, which remain to this very day. As for Makkedah, Joshua captured it on that day and struck it and its king with the edge of the sword. He devoted to destruction every person in it. He left none remaining. And he did to the king of Makkedah as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him passed on from Makkedah to Libnah and fought against Libnah. And the Lord gave it also and its king into the hand of Israel. And he struck it with the edge of the sword, and every person in it. He left none remaining, and he did to its king as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him passed on from Libnah to Lachish, and laid siege to it, and fought against it. And the Lord gave Lachish unto the hand of Israel, and he captured it on the second day, and struck it with the edge of the sword, and every person in it. And he had done to Libnah. Then Horam, king of Gezer, came up to help Lachish, and Joshua struck him and his people until he had left none remaining. Then Joshua and all Israel with him passed on from Lachish to Eglon, and they laid siege and fought against it, and they captured it on that day, and struck it with the edge of the sword. And he devoted every person in it to destruction that day, as he had done to Lachish. Then Joshua and all Israel with him from Eglon to Hebron, and they fought against it, and captured it, and struck it with the edge of the sword, and its king, and its towns, and every person in it. He left none remaining, and he had done to Eglon, as he had done to Eglon, and devoted it to destruction, and every person in it. Then Joshua and all Israel with him turned back to Debir, and fought against it, and he captured it with its king, and all its towns, and they struck them with the edge of the sword, and devoted to destruction every person in it. He left none remaining, just as he had done to Hebron, and to Libnah, and its king. So he did to Debir, and to its king. So Joshua struck the whole land, the hill country, and the Negeb, and the lowland, and the slopes, and all their kings. And he left none remaining, but devoted to destruction all that breathed, just as the Lord God of Israel commanded. And Joshua struck them from Kadesh Barnea as far as Gaza, and all the country of Goshen as far as Gibeon. And Joshua captured all these kings and all their land at one time, because the Lord God of Israel fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, to camp in Gilgal. What we don't see is a precursor of what the world has to look forward to in the future, except the things that come to pass in this story aren't nearly as tremendous as what's coming to the future. The land of Canaan was inhabited by people who sacrificed their babies to idols, killed them, ate men, did witchcraft, worshiped demons, etc., etc. In the future, the scriptures say that the Israelites will, in like manner, rid the land of people who do these things, with the Lord at their head, and with Hamashiach leading on his behalf on the earth. And that when this happens, the people who remain, who are hewers of wood, drawers of water, will learn to serve the Most High. And that there won't be any more child sacrifices. And that everyone will learn the ways of the Lord. And everybody will forget about the ways of war. They'll turn their weapons into plowshares and pruning hooks, showing that instead of warfare, we'll all endeavor into agriculture, everlasting peace. What happened in this instance that we're reading, the Israelites rid a lot of the Canaanites, but not all of them. And instead of being a light to the people, instead of leading the world in peace, they were ensnared by some of the people that they led amongst them that the Most High told them not to, and began to learn the wicked works that they did, that the Most High destroyed the people of Canaan for in the first place. And then to this day now, the Israelites are, they're disconnected from the land until Hamashiach returns. Another cautionary tale. Even amongst all these military victories that we see, it's easy to forget about the loss of, having that people amongst them, because it sounds like a win. In the flesh, it does sound like a win. But if we remember what the Most High said, we might as well take it to the bank and understand that the turmoils that the Most High promised we would see when we let these people around us will in fact happen. And we'll read about some of that as we continue to study. Next week we'll pick up at Joshua 11 and see where we land. I pray that this was edifying. I'll do like 30 seconds for Q&A, and then we'll wrap up. All praise to the Most High. I don't see any questions. It was a blessing to have y'all here with us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know I most certainly will, Lord permit. With that, we're going to give all praises to the Most High, and shalom.